Bye-bye.
Okay, this is our first review session for the Play of the Hand class, week 1. Most everybody, there were 2 people that are registered who didn't come the first week. So really, most of you are just, because a lot of times these makeup sessions are for people that had to miss a class. So today, this class is going to be mainly a review class for those of you that were in class. And I hope also that you'll have some questions that we can ask as we go through here. I do try to recover all the material because, like I said, there are people that miss and I want to make sure they get everything. But there weren't too many of them this week to do that. So the first thing we're going to look at is the syllabus of the class, just to make sure everybody knows what we're going to be doing. Week 1, we covered chapter 1 and 2 in our course book, and that's making a plan and developing tricks through promotion and length. Next week, we'll talk about chapters 3 and 4, which are finesses, and also roughing tricks, trumping tricks, and discarding. Week 3, we'll talk about controlling entries and also how to manage the opponents, keeping the dangerous opponents off lead, determining who the dangerous opponent is, managing your transportation. And then week 4, we talk about more issues about handling your trump suit, how to get the most out of it, and then putting everything together, which has a lot to do with the timing and holdups and squeezes and that sort of thing. So making the most out of the play of your hand. Everybody will have this book, Play of the Hand in the 21st Century. The American Contract Bridge League has a series of 4 books. This is the second one in the series. The first one covers bidding, which is bidding in the 21st century. Then there is one on defense, which we'll use next month in the defense class for those of you that are going to do that. And then there's one on conventions. The Play of the Hand one, the first one, and this one have both been, excuse me, revised recently, updated, and they have this kind of looking cover on them. The other one and this one, they look different from the other one. So if you had the old book for this class, we're going to go by this one. It's updated mainly in terms of some differences that have come into play since the book was originally written about 20 years ago. But most of it is the same. If you've gone through this book before, you'll recognize a lot of the terms and everything. Because we won't have time to play much in class, there is a way that you can play the hands online, and that's down here in the bottom left-hand side of your book. There is some information about an app called BridgeBee. And if you go to that BridgeBee app, there's a lot of stuff on there that you can play. I mean, there's a lot of things there, but one of the things you can access are the hands, the practice hands that are in this book, also the practice hands that are in the bidding book. So you can play those yourself for practice, which is something that you really need to do, because listening to me talk is one way to take in information, but the way to make it really part of your knowledge is you need to put it into action and actually play the cards to do it. And that's something that, in order to get through the book in 4 weeks, we really don't play a lot in class. We will play a little bit, but it's ironic that the Play of the Hand class, we don't play any hands, but there you go. That's how it is. One of the first things that we talked about in class, and one of the, what I say is worth the price of admission to come to this class, is talking about making a plan. Making a plan. If you don't do anything else out of Play of the Hand, knowledge, except know this: stop before you make a play at the very beginning. When the opening lead is made and the dummy comes down, do not play a card until you have looked back and forth between both of the hands and made a plan for how you're going to make this contract. It is really a great advantage for the declarer to be able to see both hands. The defenders don't have that luxury. In bridge, you can always see 50% of the hands, but the declarer can only see his hand in the dummy or the other hand in the dummy. But as declarer, you being able to see both hands is a distinct advantage. So you really need to take advantage of this and stop right as you're getting ready to play and make the plan. Don't even make what you think is an obvious play. Even if it's a singleton and that's the only card you can play, stop and make your plan before you do anything else, because it also affects what you're going to play out of your hand. So you're going to have to stop and think sometime. You might as well do it at the very beginning. If you watch the really top players play, you'll see that they all stop and look at the hand when they are getting ready to play the hand. So this is not just a beginner practice. This should be a practice for you always when you're getting ready to play. So making a plan. Now, Audrey Grant, who wrote the original version of this Play of the Hand book, refers, and in the books that we use here for beginning bridge, which are the Audrey Grant Beginning Bridge series, she refers to making a plan as the ABCs. And the A of the plan is assessing the situation. Assessing the situation. And when we assess the situation, we're thinking about, what is our goal? Well, we know the goal because we know what the contract is. Are we supposed to make, we said we're going to bid 3 no trump? Are we playing 6 spades? Are we playing 2 clubs? What are we playing? That tells us how many tricks we need to make. If we're playing 3 no trump, we need 9 tricks. If we're playing 6 spades, we need 12 tricks. So that is the goal. That's how many tricks you have to have. Then you need to figure out what your sure tricks are. How many tricks can you get for sure? Subtract that from your goal, and that tells you how many tricks you need to develop. So that's the first part of this plan, is assessing the situation. What do we have and what do we need to have? Okay, the second part of this is browsing the checklist. And the checklist are the 4 ways that you can get extra tricks beyond the tricks that you can see, the tricks that you need to develop. You would think there are a lot of ways of doing this, that somehow that the players that have a lot of experience have some magical techniques that they know of that you don't know of yet. But really, there are just 4 ways. They're kind of variations of these, but there are 4 ways to get extra tricks. The first is to finesse, and that is to take an unguarded high card that you have and make it good. The next one is promotion, and that's kind of an easy one to see. You know that if you have the king, queen, jack, 10, as soon as the ace is gone, those cards are good. So that's promotion. Length is where you have a long suit. If you have 8 in a suit and they only have 5, even if you have 7 and they have 6, you've got more than them. The more that you have, the longer your suit is, the more likely it is that you're able to develop some tricks through length. You knock their cards out, and then no matter what cards you have left, those cards are going to be good. We think about that when we're drawing our trump, because that's true about trump. But that same principle works even if you have an outside second suit when you're playing a suit contract, or in no trump. That's where a lot of your tricks come from, is an extra long suit that you have. Many times we overlook that and go for some other way to develop tricks when if you just look for an 8 or 9 card suit, frequently that's going to be extra tricks that you need to develop. And then the last way to develop tricks is trumping in dummy. Trumping in your hand is a good thing because you can keep them from winning tricks in other suits then. So if you're short in your hand, it keeps them from getting more tricks in that suit, but it doesn't really develop other tricks because you're already counting the trump tricks. But if you can use trumps on the short side in the dummy so that they don't fall underneath the trump on the long side, use those. Those are extra tricks. Those are extra trumps that are now being used not under the other trump that you have. So those are extra tricks. So those are all ways, and we'll be talking about all of these as we go through the class, but these are all ways to develop the extra tricks that you need. And then the last thing to do is that we need to consider the order that we do these things in. Consider the order, because it's not enough just to see that, for instance, you need to trump on the short side. If you do need to trump on the short side, you probably can't draw your trump first. So you need to decide, what order do I need to do things in? Or if you need to develop a suit, like you need to promote something like we talked about earlier, the king, queen, jack, 10, you want to promote those, you have to knock out the ace first. So you need to do that before you can develop other tricks. So some of the order options that we talk about are, first of all, generally, we draw the trump first. Most of the time, that's the right thing to do. If you don't have a reason not to draw trump first, you should draw the trump first. So if I see you guys playing a hand and you're not drawing the trump first, I'm going to want to know the reason, because there can be reasons. And if you've got a reason, great. But if there's not a reason, draw your trump first. And it's not a good enough reason that you have an ace and a king out. Those are going to take tricks anyway. So knock them out, because the ace and king are going to win. But if you don't draw a trump because you've got some losers out there, they're going to trump in and make their 2 or 3 or 4 good, in addition to the ace and king, which they already have. So it's nearly always right to draw the trump first, unless you have a reason not to. Then another one is play the high card from the short side first. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. That helps you with transportation issues. Developing the extra tricks early. We already talked about that, why you would do that. And then be in the right place at the right time. We need to watch our transportation. All of these, considering the order, are going to be mainly things that we talk about as we get further in to some of the discussion of the other items that we're going to talk about. Does anybody have any questions of what we've talked about so far?
I do, Sally.
Yeah.
When you say you want to look at, as soon as dummy comes down, you want to make your plan.
Yes.
But how, and you mentioned we have to watch out the speed of play. So how do you get comfortable in looking at dummy and making your decision without taking 5 minutes to do that?
Well,
do you just naturally get more
yeah,
faster?
you'll naturally get quicker at it. And the important thing to do when you're playing as a new player is you tend to stop and think and think and think. And I know, because I was a new player, that a lot of the times when you're thinking and thinking and thinking, really nothing is going on. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to think, but you really don't have more to think about. So if you concentrate your thinking, if you really are paying attention to coming up with your plan, counting your losers or counting your winners, whichever you need, looking to see what you can develop, that should not take much more than 1 or 2 minutes. As a beginner, it may take 3 or 4 minutes, but it shouldn't take longer than that. Because, you know, you don't have a lot of the more sophisticated squeeze plays and, you know, in plays and all this stuff that sometimes the more experienced players are looking at. So take the time you need, but just make sure that you're using the time efficiently to actually make the plan. But
Good point.
there is going to be a delay. And that is a good question, because we do say, you should keep playing. You shouldn't be long hesitations. But a time when it is fair to have a hesitation is, which everybody expects, is when you're looking at dummy and making your plan. Okay. All right. Okay. In the beginning of the book, over on page 3 of the book, if you're looking at your book, Audrey Grant used, and Betty Starzak, the person that updated this book, used a little bit different way to talk about this plan. And they talk about PLAN for plan. Pause to consider your objective and look at your winners and losers. Well, that is the first part, assessing the situation under what we talk about, the ABCs of the plan. So pause to consider for P and L, look at your winners and losers. That is just the first part, A, assessing the situation. Then analyze, A, for analyze your alternatives, is the browsing the checklist part of the plan. And the last thing where it says now put it all together, that is just the last part of the plan, which is considering the order. So it's really exactly the same thing. They just put it differently in the book to drive me crazy, okay? Because we've always used the ABCs for so long, and actually I think they're just as good. It doesn't make any difference how you look at it as long as you're doing these steps. Okay, now when we are assessing the situation, the goal is the goal. That's how many tricks you need. But figuring out how many tricks you have is part of the situation that we need to assess. And we do it a little bit differently depending on whether we are in a no trump contract or whether we are in a suit contract. In no trump, what we're looking for is winners, how much we can win. If we have long suits or if we have high cards, where are our winners? In a suit contract, we think about losers. The reason we think about losers at suit contracts is because we have a trump suit. And so usually we can trump if we are short in a hand. And so losers are a better way of looking at and assessing our hand in a suit contract than the winners are in a no trump contract. And when we're talking about counting the winners in a no trump contract, we count just the sure tricks, not the development tricks, but the sure tricks. You want to count the sure tricks that you have at the very beginning. So those are tricks that you can get without losing any tricks. So let's go over here and look at some examples of doing this. Okay, here we're going to count the winners. Let's say we're counting winners. In this first example here, we've got the ace, king, queen, jack on one side, the 5, 4, 3, 2 on the other side. How many winners do we have there? And that is
4.
short trick winners. We've
4.
got 4. In the next example, king, queen, jack, 10, and 5, 4, 3.
0.
The number of winners we have there is 0.
0.
0, the way we're going to count them, which is sure trick winners.
Okay. May I ask a question?
Yes.
Why? It seems to me that you're going to lose the ace, but why do we have 0 winners? Why?
Because we have 0 sure tricks. When you're counting in no trump, it's important that you count just the sure tricks first, because you are then going to look at your checklist and say, how can I get more tricks? And your checklist will tell you, I can promote the rest of those. So I know I'm going to win the rest of those. But there are different ways that you could win tricks. This is kind of a no-brainer that you're nearly always going to just be able to count that as 3 tricks. But
Right.
I'm just trying to get you in the habit of doing just the sure tricks first, because it impacts the how you choose which of alternative ways you have of making tricks, it helps you better choose those if you've counted just your sure tricks to start. Okay. But yes, this is 3 tricks.
Right.
Right now, I'm just asking you to count sure trick winners. How about this one? Ace, king, 5, 4 on one side, queen, jack, 3, 2 on the other side.
Or
Yeah, we've got 4 there because we can go back and forth. Ace, king, then queen, go over to the other, queen, jack. So we've got 4 sure tricks there. But let's look at the next one. You've got the ace, king on one side and the queen, jack on the other side. How many
2.
sure
2.
tricks there? 2, just 2, because we can't separate those out. The queen, jack are going to fall under the ace, king. So we've just got 2. How about this one?
3.
3, because we've got the 3 can go to the queen, and then the jack can come back to the ace, king. So we've got 3 there. And then this last example here, how many do we have?
5.
5. We should be able to get all of these tricks, right?
Right.
How about this one?
let's say 4.
We've definitely got 4, but can we be sure of a 5th one? Is it a sure trick or not?
There's 4 out, 4 of the cards out. So
I
once
think-
those are gone, yeah.
Right,
Yeah, I think we can be sure of the 5th one.
we can. So this is 5 sure tricks here. Even though that 2 looks pretty puny, it is going to be good because even if your split is 4-0, you've got 9 tricks, 9 cards there, 4 out. Even if it's 4-0, you'll be able to get those. Okay, now let's kind of look at how you count this when we've got the entire deal. Okay, this is a 3 no trump contract. So let's look at each suit, and we start these spades at the top, hearts, diamonds, clubs. So this is spades, hearts, diamonds, clubs in one hand, and spades, hearts, diamonds, clubs in the other hand. So in spades, and this is the declarer hand is at the bottom. So in spades, how many sure tricks do we have?
None.
None. No sure tricks in spades. How many sure tricks do we have in hearts?
3.
3, the ace, king, queen. How many sure tricks do we have in clubs, diamonds?
4.
5.
5, because we can play the ace, king,
Yeah.
and then we can play a small one over to the queen, jack,
then
and we've
two.
got 9
One.
cards there.
Same
Right.
example, yeah.
So they will all be gone. The last one will be good. So that's definitely
Mhm.
5. So how many do we have? How many sure tricks do we have in clubs?
1.
1.
One.
Okay. So sure tricks, how many do we need?
9.
9. And we have 3 in spades, 5 in diamonds, and
Okay.
1 in clubs.
Mm.
So that's
That's right.
9. So there
Yes.
we have our 9 tricks. We don't need to worry now about the king, queen, jack, 10 of spades.
Right.
If you don't do this, and Nancy, this kind of gets back to your question of, well, I can see I've got 3 more tricks here in spades. Yes, you do. But once this ace of clubs is gone, you don't have any other stoppers in clubs. So as long as you can get them to play the ace of spades before you play your ace of clubs, you're fine. But we can't see the other 2 hands right now. But what would you guess is going to be led by the opponents?
King of clubs.
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 Some club. right? Because we've only got
They
4
have
clubs. They've got
Here's
9
clubs.
clubs between the
Clubs.
2 hands. Usually we lead from length on no trump. So probably they're going to lead a club. So that ace of clubs is going to go away right at the beginning. So you need to count just your sure tricks because that tells you 9. If you count the other 3 that you're likely to be able to develop in spades, before you figure out you've got the 9 that you need, you may go off track. And the first thing
Because-
you might try to do would be to knock out that ace of hearts, and that would be the wrong thing to do.
Because they're gonna get the lead and then they'll play their clubs, is that it?
Exactly, exactly right. If you can see you've got 9, take them and run.
Okay,
Now, if they don't lead a club, if they lead something else, then you're okay. Then you can go ahead and knock out the ace of spades, as long as you do that before you play the ace of clubs.
okay.
Okay, now let's look at, that's no trump, that's counting winners. Now let's look at counting losers. And counting losers, we look at the high cards that we have that we're sure are going to win a trick. So let's look at this first one right here. We've got the ace king 3 on one side and the queen 4 on the other side. How many losers do we have here?
1,
3,
2, 2 losers.
Do we have any
One.
losers?
One.
One
The queen
loser.
is a winner, the ace and the king is a winner, so we're not going to lose any tricks. Because you can look,
Yeah.
you look at it from the point of view of the declarer side, which is the bottom, the ace king 3. But we can play the 3 to the queen and then the 4 to the ace king. We have no losers in this suit.
Okay, so that's no losers.
No losers. 3 winners, no losers. Okay,
0.
0. Let's look at this one. 7-5-4 on one side, the jack 6-3 on the other side.
3,
How many losers do we have there?
3.
3.
3 losers.
3 losers. We're going to lose all 3 of those. Now, one thing you need to do is look at it from the point of view of the declarer, not the dummy. The declarer is, in our examples, is at the bottom. So the 3-2 here is the declarer, the 8-7-5-4. That being the case, how many losers do we have in this hand, in this suit? Just 2. Just 2, because we look at it from the point of view of the declarer. And the reason we have just 2 is we can trump. That's why when we're counting losers, especially in a suit contract, we just look at it from that point of view of the declarer. So we've got 2 losers in that suit. But let's switch the suits. Now, how many losers do we have?
4.
4, because we're looking at it from the point of view of the declarer. Okay, when you have sequences, a little bit different than when we count no trump, now you can take into consideration the fact that you will be promoting a card, and so you don't have to worry about this in when you're counting for a suit contract. So when you have a sequence like this, you've got the king, queen 3 on one side and the 9-4-2 on the other side. How many losers would you have here?
1.
1. Because the king, queen should be good. So you've got 1 loser. The fact is you could lose 2 because the king or queen should fall under the ace. But the way you count it is that you expect the king and queen to be good and the 3 to fall under the ace. So you count that as 2 losers. You count that as 2 losers. I mean,
1.
one loser.
One loser.
1 loser. Yes.
This losers counting is hard.
It's different. And it requires kind of more experience and more guesstimates than the sure trick winners do that no trump. So it is a little harder. Let's look at this one, the queen 10-4 and the jack 6-3 on the other side. How many losers do we have here?
2.
2. We've got to lose the ace and the king. So we've got 2 losers. How about this one? Jack 8-4-3 and the 10-9-7-2.
3.
Three losers?
3. Once we lose the ace, king, queen, we should have the rest of the last trick. Now, it's even harder if you have unsupported high cards. If you have, in this case, we've been having cards to back up the cards we have. But when you have unsupported high cards, for instance, in this case, where you have the king 3 and the 8-6, how would you count that?
2 losers.
You count that as 2 losers.
Mhm.
Because even though the king might be good, you've got a 50-50 shot at making the king good if you finesse. You need to count that as 2 losers, and then think to yourself when you're looking for ways to find your extra tricks, you think, oh, I might be able to finesse that king, but we count it as and get rid of one of the losers. So you count that as 2 losers. The next one, 8-7-3 with the queen 6-2.
3. 3 losers.
3 losers. Okay, I'm not going to talk about the broken sequences, but they are the same kind of thing. If you're missing one of the cards, you have to take that as a loser. So in this first example, you've got at least 1 loser there. The other 2 should be winners. So you count that as 1 loser. You can also combine your sequences that you have plus the length that you have. So looking at this one, for example, how many losers do you think you would count here?
2.
Yes, 2. You're definitely going to lose the ace, and you're definitely probably going to lose one of those other ones. The 4th one might be good. If they're split 3-2, which is the normal distribution, then you should be able to get all of those. The extra ones. You should be able to pull everything in except for the ace and then get the last one.
Can I ask a question about that? When you're counting the losers, then you assume the best split, the
Yes.
most, okay.
Yes, the most likely split, especially if the most likely split is as high as 3-2 is. It's about 65%, I believe. It's pretty high. Oh, shoot, this is over 2 pages, so we can't count this is going to be hard to count the losers here. If you guys have your book in front of you,
Yes.
it's on page 10. On page 10. So just make a note on page 10 that in spades, we've got the king 4-3 on one side, and we've got the queen jack 10-8-7-6 on the other side, and this is a 4-spade contract. So we only have 1 loser here, the king of spades. In hearts, we've got on one side the ace queen 2, and on the other side the 6-3. So we've got 1 loser in hearts. Look at the ace queen 2. We've got 1 loser there.
In hearts.
For diamonds, we've got the ace king on one side and 4 small ones on the other side. So for that side, we just count 2 losers. No losers, because we count it from the point of view of declarer. So there are no losers in diamonds. And then in clubs, we've got the jack 10-7 and the queen 4-3 of clubs. So we have to count that as 2 losers. The ace and king would both be losers. So that gives us 4 losers in that hand. The ace of spades, the king of hearts, and the ace king of clubs. So when we make our plan, we see we have 4 losers and we need to eliminate one of the losers. What is the only loser that we have a chance to eliminate?
Spades.
The
Spades.
spades? No, we're only counting one loser in spades, and it's the ace of
Oh.
spades. So that's gonna
Okay.
stay a loser all day.
Okay.
Or hearts.
Queen of hearts.
Yeah, the hearts. We are counting a loser in hearts, but we have the ace queen of hearts. We also are counting in clubs, the ace king of clubs as losers. We can't do anything about that. So our only chance, we're going to lose the ace of spades and the ace and king of clubs. Our only chance is if we can make our ace of hearts and our queen of hearts good. So that tells us that we need to finesse for the king of hearts.
Yeah.
And if we finesse for the king of hearts, where do we hope the king of hearts is? On the west, right? If we consider the bottom as the south, on the left-hand side. We hope the king of hearts is over here on the west side.
Mhm.
If it's over here in the east, it's a loser. We are not going to be able to make our 2 tricks good. We are going to have 2 losers in hearts. But if it happens to be on the right side and there's a 50-50 shot of it being on the right side, then we'll make our trick, make our contract. But we have to figure this out from the very beginning, because the only shot we have is to try and get that finesse. If we try to do something else first, which I don't know what we would, there's really not too many options to consider here, but if we try to do something else first, nothing else works. We have to lose the ace of spades and the ace king of clubs. There's no way, we can trump these extra diamonds in our hand, but we're already counting no losers in spades. So that doesn't help us. That doesn't help us to use a spade that already wasn't a loser.
Mhm.
So that's the only way we can do this. Okay.
He's thinking for me.
Well, it's just a matter of understanding it. Understanding,
Okay. So
but it did kind of click.
we've talked about, and I'm here, I didn't give you guys this handout. I'm going to send it to everybody after the session is over. But we talk about counting winners and no trump contracts, losers and suit contracts. We've talked about how to count the winners, count the high cards, look to the longer side. That's the most winners you can have. And look for length winners, look for long suits. Then we talked about how to count losers. We look on this says the longer side. We really should say the declarer side. Look at it from the point of view of the declarer side. Look at your missing high cards. One other thing to think about is quick versus slow losers. A quick loser is a loser that you have to lose right away. A slow loser is one that they may get to develop after a while. Usually, if you have quick losers, you want to lose them at the beginning. Slow losers, you hang on to as long as you can. Okay. And then the ways to develop, we've already kind of talked about this in No Trump, promoting your high cards, developing your suits, which is your long suits, and finessing are ways that we can develop extra tricks in No Trump. We can use those same for suit contracts, plus roughing or trumping, that's just another word for trumping, and discarding your losers. And that's one thing we look for, is suits that we can discard losers on. And we'll talk about all of this as we go through, and more examples later down the road. So part 3 of this, considering the order you do things are, some of the things are: first, avoiding temptation. And we talked about that a little bit on that hand we talked about, where you had the king, queen, jack, 10 of spades, and you can get 3 spades. But you want to make sure that you need to get those and that you don't risk your contract by getting those. So if you can see your contract, take your tricks and run. Just take your tricks and run. Get them, then get out before something goes wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
Avoid stranding in a suit, which means take your tricks from the short side first. So if you have the king and two small on one side, and you have the ace, queen, on down on the other side, you're going to want to play the high card on the short side first, and then go over to your hand. All of you have had experiences, I know, where you have gotten stuck on the wrong side. And the way you avoid getting stuck on the wrong side is if you consider the order you're going to play the suit in, and usually the correct thing to do is play from the short side first, play the high card on the short side first, get your winners off the short side so that then the ones on the long side are all winners.
What if you have a singleton?
Well, you can't do anything about that. That's the only
Okay.
one you can do.
Okay,
And if you've got entries going back and forth on both sides, it really doesn't make too much difference.
right.
But it's a good habit to get into, just to play naturally, that you take your tricks from the short side first. And you also don't want to let your opponents trump your winners. So you always want to pull your trump first, unless there's a reason not to. Like you need to use the trumps to trump something on a short side. Okay, so that is the first part of this, which is the making the plan part. So let's talk about the second chapter then, which is play of the hand, promotion and length, promoting cards and length of cards. So when we're talking about promoting cards, and you can see this, and we've already talked about this, if you have the king, queen, jack, 10, as soon as the ace is gone, the rest of those cards are good. Sorry guys, my camera keeps being in the way. Or let's look at this example. How many tricks are you going to get out of that suit?
One.
You should get one out of there. After the ace and king are gone, your queen should be good. So how many winners would we count in that suit?
One. Oh,
If we're looking at this from a no trump point of view and we're assessing the hand, how many winners are we going to count initially?
0.
Zero, yeah.
But when we consider what we can do to promote tricks, we can see that we can promote one trick, right?
Right.
We have one winner. How many losers do we have? Two. The winners and losers usually match. One winner, two losers when we have three tricks there.
I see.
How about this next one? Jack 10, 9, 8, 5, 4, 3, 2.
one winner, three losers.
Right.
Definitely have three losers, the ace, king, queen. How many winners do you have? You should have one winner once that's promoted. Okay, now let's look at an example of playing the high card from the first side, from the short side first. Here we have the king, jack, 10, 9, 8, 2 of diamonds. And over here we have the queen, 4 of diamonds. So if we're going to try to set up this suit, we do that by playing the high card from the short side first. So we may lead the 2, come over and play the queen. Play the high card from the short side first. Then lead the 4 back and play the king. This hand over here, when you lead the 2, may cooperate with you. They may go up with the ace, okay? If they do that, that's really good for you, because then you've got the rest of the tricks, no matter what else is true about the hand. But generally, and we'll learn this in defense, generally we hold up. We don't just take our tricks off the bat. But if they do hold up, which they should, and they play a small one, your queen is going to win. That's what should happen. Should play small, they play small, your queen wins. Then you go back using the 4, you play your king, and you just keep playing diamonds until they play the ace. They'll either play it on that trick or they have to play it on the 3rd trick. And then you still have the ace of clubs to be an entry to your hand to play the rest of the diamonds. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes,
So when the suit is divided unevenly like this, make sure that you play your cards the most efficiently by playing the high cards from the short side first. Let's look at an example of taking your losses early. And here we can see the full, hand. This is a 3-note trump contract. The lead is the Queen of Hearts. So let's make a plan for this hand. How are we, first of all, what is our goal at 3-note trump?
9
9.
tricks.
9 tricks. So let's, and what are we going to count? Winners or losers?
Winners.
Winners.
So let's look at the spade suit. We've got the ace 6-4 here and the king 8-5 here. How many winners do we have?
2.
2. How many winners do we have in hearts?
2,
2.
2. How many winners do we have in diamonds?
2,
2.
2. And how many winners do we have in clubs?
None.
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 So we've got 2, 2, 2, that's 6. So we need to develop one more trick.
3 more tricks.
3 more.
More tricks. 6. We've got 6. We need 3 more tricks. We can see that those can come from the clubs, right?
Right.
But we need to knock out the ace of clubs to get that to happen. So when they lead the Queen of Hearts, what are we going to do?
Well, see,
Play.
there's no short side, right?
That's right. There's no short side. That take the high tricks from the short side first is for you trying to develop a suit, a long suit. That's when we need to worry about that. So we're not trying to do that here. Here, we're trying to promote some cards in clubs. So since we have 2 winners on every side, which is nice, we've got the ace of hearts is a winner, the ace of spades is a winner, king of hearts, king of diamonds, those are all winners. It doesn't make any difference. We've got plenty of winners on both sides. So it really doesn't make any difference if we if we cover the Queen of Hearts with the king, or if we win it over in our hand with the ace, because all of our high cards are on this side anyway. We can't develop any extra length. All we can do is promote 3 cards over on this side. So we win a heart, and then what is the next thing that we do?
Play a club.
Play the club. And that's very important. We know we've got 2 hearts, 2 spades, and 2 diamonds, but we do not take those winners right off the bat. The first thing we do is play a club. And we keep playing clubs until they play their ace. If they duck, and they're only going to be able to duck once because the ace 4 is over here. But you'll play the 10. If they don't play the ace, they play low, low, low. Then you play your jack. Now they have to play the ace. You play low and low. No matter what they lead back to you, you now have all the winners you originally counted in your spades, hearts, and diamonds, plus the 2 extra tricks in
That's right.
clubs. Or actually 3 extra, now it's 2 extra tricks in clubs that you needed to have.
But you could also have won the heart trick with that king of hearts and then led the 3 over to the king, and they would possibly cover the king with the ace. So then it would be gone right away. the ace of clubs
Ace of clubs. Yeah, you could do that either way.
to speed it up, getting the
Yes.
ace out.
It does, yes, it doesn't make any difference which way you do it though, because the result is going to be the same. In
Yeah,
this case, sometimes it does make a difference, the order, but in this case, either way will work. You're right, they're more likely if you play the king of clubs to cover that with the ace. Because aces are made for taking kings. You'll learn that in defense. Okay, now so that's promoting. And promoting to me is kind of the easiest one. You can see that. You know, if you've got a sequence of cards or, you know, you've got a lot of cards, you can see that you're going to promote those when the high ones are knocked out. Length is sometimes something we overlook. And we need to think about how the suits are going to split to determine whether or not we can make tricks good. I gave you a handout, which I'm not going to go over in detail here, but the handout that I gave you, which others of you should look at, is the relative percentages for bridge players. And on that handout, the first section of this talks about the chances, what the chances are of each division of cards, depending on how many are out. And if you look at it, for instance, when 5 are out, which is the most common, the 3-2 split is nearly 70% of the time. So that's, you know, what we kind of need to think about when we're thinking of, can we actually develop the length that we need to develop in a suit? One way to look at this is even suits are going to split, most likely are going to split unevenly. If you have 4 cards out, they're not most likely to split 3-2. They're most likely to split 2-2. They're most likely to split 3-1. If you have an odd number of cards out, they are most likely to split as evenly as possible. So if you're missing 5 cards, which is really common, if you're missing 5, the most likely split 3-2 occurs about 70% of the time. That's usually what you should play for. Sometimes you may know that you've got your contract and you want to protect against the outside chance that they split 4-1 or 5-0. Sometimes you can do that. You have the luxury of doing that if you have enough tricks. But usually you just go with whatever the most likely, depending on how likely it is, the most likely split. And at a 5, when 5 are out, which is usually what we have most frequently, 3-2 is the most frequent split. And then this just gives you a kind of a chart that tells you which is the most likely split. If 3 are out, 2-1 is the most likely. With 4, it's 3-1. If 5 are out, it's 3-2. 6 are out, 4-2. 7 are out, 4-3. And if 8 cards are out, they're most likely split 5-3, which is what it told us when 5 cards are out, that they're most likely split 3-2. Okay, so let's look at some examples here. Ace, king, queen, jack, 3-2, 6-5-4. We've got 9 cards here. What is the most likely split?
3-1.
3-1. So are we likely to pull in all the cards?
Yes.
Yes.
And in this example, we're going to be able to pull them all in, right? No matter what division they have. Because we've got 9 tricks there, 9 cards there. They have 4. Even if it's 4-0, we can take the ace, king, queen, jack. The last 3-2 is going to be good. Here we've got the ace, king, queen, 2, and the 6-5-4-3. How likely are we to get 4 tricks out of this suit?
Pretty likely. If it's 3-2.
It should be 3-2. 70% of the time, we'll get 4 tricks out of this suit. The ace, king, queen are sure things, and the most likely division is 3-2. If they do fall 3-2, we'll be able to make our 2 good. This or the 3. Does that make sense to everybody?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's look at this one. How likely are we to get, or what is the most likely number of tricks we'll get out of this suit?
3.
3.
Just 3, because there are going to be too many out. We don't even have a high one. So we'll get the ace, king, queen. Excuse me, and that's it. How about this one?
2.
8.
Is that the most likely? It's
5.
just 2. That's the sure thing is 2.
Other cards would be out 3, 2, 8, 5. Even
Yeah, they had
3,
some,
1.
but still, they're gonna run out. You're gonna take 2, 4 with the first 2 with the ace and king. And you
Yeah.
need
Well,
1 more.
if they're split 3, 2,
We might get 1.
the ace, king are good, and then you'll have to give up a trick, but that should be the end of theirs. And so the last one that you have will be good. So there's a 70% chance here that you will take 3 tricks. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Just a 70% chance. There's still 30% chance you're not going to get those last 2. Definitely get the first 2. But if you're looking for ways to find other tricks, a 70% chance is pretty good. And if you're talking about a finesse, a 70% chance of getting that fourth one is better than the 50-50 chance you have on a finesse.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of
Right.
times we don't think about that. The finesse kind of
Mhm.
looks better to us unless we're thinking, oh, wait, we know we're a 70% chance that they're split 3, 2. How about this one?
Did you blow your nose?
4.
Or you can rub it in the dry
2?
eye.
2. We should have 2 losers there because there are 10 tricks, 10 cards, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? 5 and 4, 9. There's 9 cards there. So they're most likely split 3, 1. So we'll get the ace. We'll have to give up 2, but then we should have 2. Looking at
Right.
it from the long side.
Right.
Okay. So we should most likely get 3 tricks out of this suit. And unless we're terrible luck, we'll get 2 tricks out of this suit. Let's look at, there's an example here of a hand. So let's look at this. This is a 3 no trump contract. The opening lead is the 3 of spades. So we need to take 9 tricks here. How many spade tricks do we have, winners?
3.
3?
3. How many heart tricks do we have as winners?
2.
2. How many, oh, sorry guys, this is messed up. No, this is just, this right here should be no, well, it's just a 7, 5, 3, 2. It's not that messed up. That 9 should be a 7. So anyway, so how many tricks do you have in diamonds?
1.
Maybe 1.
Maybe a 1. And how about in clubs?
2.
3.
3. So we've got 3 spades, 2 hearts, 3 clubs. We need to get at least 1 diamond, right? And what is our percent chance of getting 1 diamond?
Pretty good since there's 2 9.
70.
If they're split 3, 2.
Yeah, but they're split 3, 2, which is about 70% of the time. We've got a 70% chance of making that last diamond good. So how should we approach this? They have led the 3 of spades, and we've got only winners in spades, right? The ace, king, queen. So we're going to win the first spade. So then what should we do?
Lead diamonds.
Lead diamonds. And they're going to win a diamond. and they're going to lead something back to us, and we are going to win it. And then what do we do?
Lead diamonds.
Lead diamonds. And we are going to lead diamonds 3 times. We're going to give them those 3 diamond tricks. And we have to do that before we cash any of our other tricks, because once we cash the tricks and they win one of those diamonds, they can then cash the cards they've promoted in their hands. So it's really important that we not only figure out what we need to do, which is promote a diamond or get a length diamond, but we also need to consider the order we need to do that in, which is we need to lead those diamonds, make those losers happen, take our losses early. Okay, does anybody have any, oh, wait, there is something else I want to talk about here. I want you to take a look at this, deciding which suits to develop for length when you have long suits. Here's 2 examples. We've got the ace king 6-5-2 opposite the 4-3. That's a 7-card suit. Here we have an 8-card suit. Well, the best suit to develop is whichever the longer suit is. Even though your ace king 6-5-2 is the same on both sides, your chances go up significantly when you've got that 9th card versus when you have, when you've got the 8th card versus when you have just 7 cards in a suit. So when you choose the longer, always choose the longer suit to develop. And if you have an even number of cards in each of the suits, here we have an 8-card suit, and here we have an 8-card suit. Pick the one that is most unevenly split. Because if we look at this one, the ace king 6-5 versus the 7-4-3-2, we have a chance of getting 3 tricks there. We have a 70% chance we'll play the ace king, then we'll play one and knock the 3rd one out, and we have a 70% chance of getting a 4th trick, or 3rd trick, ace king and a small one. But look at this suit. We play the ace and king, then we play a little one to knock out their 3rd 3-2, their 3rd trick in their hand, the 70% chance. And then we have 2 cards left over. So this suit has a chance of developing 2 extra tricks rather than the 1 extra trick, which is the most we can expect if the suit is evenly divided. Does that make sense to everybody? If not, take a look in the book because the examples are in there. Okay, I want to remind everybody how the book is set up. In every chapter of the book, there is the text of the chapter. The bulk of what we're going to be covering is in there, and I'm going to cover most of that in class. But there are 2 other things that are available in each chapter of the book. There is a section on some defense topic, and there is also a section on some bidding topic. So you get a lot in this book. And so I would suggest you look through the book because that's some good material. So that's in each chapter. And at the end of each chapter is a summary of what appears in the chapter. And then after that, in each chapter, there are some exercises you can do with the answers. And so you need to see, because since we're not playing hands, I'm mostly talking here, you need to do this on your own to have this get into your brain. Because if you're like me, when you listen to somebody talk, you're nodding. You're going, oh yeah, I get that, I get that. Well, until you put it into practice yourself, it's different. So I'd really suggest you do the exercises here. And then at the end of each chapter, there are 4 practice hands. So I'd suggest you do those, okay? All right, next week, we are going to be talking about finessing, everybody's favorite subject, and how to eliminate losers. So I will see some of you on Wednesday and some of you on Friday, but have a good week. See you then.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sally.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.